What's good? It's your boy CJ Goodfella. You know how we do. We back with the Boxing Clinic, you dig? And final thoughts and some weigh-in reaction to Miguel Cotto's farewell fight versus Sadam Ali. If you don't know my stance on it, I don't care Cotto fighting Sadam Ali. This is his farewell fight. He deserves to go out the way he wants to go out. Have no issue with it at all. Today Cotto weighed in at 151.6 pounds. Sadam Ali weighed in at a career high 153 pounds and some change. Sadam Ali looked like he got a height advantage right here. He said he wasn't gonna be scared to be great or something like that. He's gonna go for it tomorrow night. But he said it was kind of scary for him to fight Miguel Cotto in Madison Square Garden. I didn't like the way he was scary. We talked about that a week or so ago. But stylistically, man, this fight ain't that bad. Ali likes to move around. We seen Cotto pressured by Kamagai last fight, kind of laying on the ropes after a long layoff. Still look good. Still like he can compete with the best, in my opinion. So we might see the vintage seek and destroy Miguel Cotto. Vicious left hook to Ali body. We talked about what Sadam Ali needs to do, what he needs to improve on. He needs to improve on standing his ground, being more calm, and letting using and trusting his ability. Like trust your boxing skills, Trust your defense. Trust you being a nice little kind of slick kind of fighter, and sit down on some of these punches. Hold your ground because he moves around entirely too much. And if he sits down on his punches, he's going to save stamina, energy. His nerves will chill down, and he'll generate more power. And then mix in a little bit of movement. Do calculated movement. You see the way Bernard and Floyd move. It's calculated, the way Bernard and Floyd moves. It's not running. A lot of people say, oh, Floyd to run. No, it's calculated. When you move in the boxing ring to set up a boxing move or to set up something, that's not running. Now, running to get away from danger and running around the ring and all that stuff, Sadam Ali don't need to do that. He needs to be a fighter who sits down on his punches because he can't pop. He can't pop. And Jesse Vargas, last time, in the last loss he had, hunted him down, went duck hunting, and splattered his brains and stopped him, And it wasn't that Sadam Ali, had a weak chin. Sadam Ali was moving too much. He was tired. You got to sit down. And if you don't sit down with a guy and get, respect for a guy like Cotto, and especially if he turns back the clock to the one that fought Shane and Zab, and that was at 140, that was a seek and destroy type fighter, he got to stop Sadam Ali at some point in this fight. And Ali got to recognize that he has to sit down. But, I hope to see the vintage Cotto tonight. Ever since he left 147, of course, he had to reinvent himself and reinvigorate himself and show that he could box and move a little bit because he wasn't the bigger fighter like he was at 140 in some of his 147 fights. But this should be okay, a good fight in my opinion. Ali, has talent. He's one of the better young New York fighters coming up. But like I said, he has to mature this fight. He has to go through the maturation period for being a young fighter that likes to move and box to being a guy that's stationary and using his body movement. He has to move smartly. And we know what Cotto brings to the table. Cotto done seen it all, done it all. And we talked about Cotto. Fans questioning his Hall of Fame resume. Yes, he lost a lot of big fights in my opinion. I spoke on that, but of course he's a Hall of Famer. He's been in there with the best. He's beat some of the best at some point in his career. He was probably the best fighter at 140 at this time. He was on his way to being one of the better 147 pounders. We never got to see him and Floyd at 147. We never got to see him and Pacquiao on the even playing field at 147. I say that because of the weight at 145, I think it was, or 144, whatever it was, with the rehydration clause. Especially with the Margarito hand wraps that happened, that the Pacquiao fight happened after that. He wasn't the same fighter. So we was robbed of the best Miguel Cotto, you know what I'm saying? And a lot of people got to recognize that, man. His face was not the same. It kept swelling up, especially in the Pacquiao fight. It kept cutting up like pieces after the Margarito fight. He did get revenge, but, Margarito took something from his career he could never get back. And just going through those trials and tribulations and bouncing back from a massive cheater and Market Cheeto like that, Cotto overcame the odds. He competed with Floyd Mayweather tough. He was right there with him to the end, and he made Floyd go apologize to his dad and bring his dad back to his camp, which was bad news for his following opponents. But, Cotto had a good showing versus Canelo, and they asked Miguel Cotto who was the best that you ever fought. He said Floyd Mayweather. He was so smart, and people were saying, oh, why wasn't it Manny Pacquiao? For one, he fought Pacquiao at the catch weight. For two, it was, for two, it was like, it wasn't fair. He had to drain himself to make 145, whatever the catch weight, with a rehydration clause, I believe it was on there. I could be wrong. But, of course, he didn't feel like he was on the even playing field. Pacquiao was pulling that BS for years. And when Floyd did the catch weight, when Cotto went on to do catch weight, they was ridiculed. When Pacquiao did it, oh, the little fella is too small. No, if you're going to fight at welterweight, or he was going to fight Margarito, Pacquiao at junior middleweight, you go fight him at full junior middleweight. Don't be dragging these guys down in weight. And that's why a lot of people with the detractors took away from Pacquiao's career. You dig? They took away from Pacquiao's career because he was draining. He was draining guys, and it wasn't an even playing field. But a lot of those Pacquiao fans won't tell you that. For what reason? Why couldn't he fight Miguel Cotto at 147? Why couldn't he fight Oscar at 147, the older fighter? Why he couldn't fight Margarito at 154? I don't want to hear that he was too small-ish. And that's the reason why, Miguel Cotto dubbed Floyd Mayweather as the best fighter he fought. It was a good fight. He said Floyd was very smart. And Floyd has different dimensions to his game. Pacquiao was a one-dimensional offensive fighter with no defense for the most part. Best defense was his offense. Floyd, at point in his career, was a great offensive fighter, good defensive fighter, and then whatever else he was. It was what it was, and it is what it is. But, Cotto had a long story career. He was coming up, man. And Sadam Ali is going to have an opportunity to kind of make a name for himself and win the belt at 154 and most likely go down to 147. He looks big here, but naturally in the ring, we'll see who's the bigger guy. Cotto's going to fight like the bigger guy tomorrow night. I think if Sadam Ali comes out and moves like he usually moves, Cotto will be the seek and destroy type fighter. I think that's the game plan, to go out with a spectacular knockout. Now, can Cotto walk away from the game after getting a big win? I believe he can. He said he doesn't need the money. He's invested his money well. He does have a beautiful family at home with a beautiful wife. And he wants to spend time with them. He can still be a contributor in boxing. Will he become a trainer? I don't know if that's, what he wants to do. When his uncle was training him, he was the better fighter, in my opinion. That's nothing to point out. When his uncle was training him, he was training him in high heat, in places that he didn't want to be. And once, he left his uncle, that fire and desire was gone. The hard training was gone, and Cotto kind of transformed into a different fighter, and he didn't have that same hunger or that same mean streak to him. You could see the maturation or the change in him or the metamorphosis in him after he left his uncle. But we see what Sadam Ali got tomorrow night. It's a fight that I will tune into. Big Cotto fan. Long time in his career. And, I just try to spit facts, but I respect the man and everything he's done to his career. Definitely a Hall of Famer. He's contributed to the sport of boxing. Maybe be a trainer, a broadcaster, or whatever he wants to be, but we're going to